Okay, thank you for being here. My name is John Hrvatin, and I'm a lead program manager on the Internet Explorer team at Microsoft. And I'm going to get things started. Hopefully, if we can switch over to the laptop here, get things started with a little video, kind of the same way a lot of us have kicked off. Is there audio?
Ideas are always hard to come up with.
I walk through the city whenever I need inspiration.
Execution is the biggest challenge.
I love that hunt early on. When you're meeting with a customer, there's this mystery aspect to it where you're really trying to uncover what's that story. There's so many rich potentials.
And I want to bring websites into the forefront of emerging technologies and make them feel like native applications.
We should be transcending beyond static page.
Everyone's been doing the same thing for years.
I want to take people somewhere they haven't gone.
Let's try something new.
For a while now, we felt that we're able to come up with better ideas than we're able to deliver for our clients. Things are about to change.
HTML5 is a beautiful thing. It's a game changer.
I'd like to create web experiences where you're totally involved into the experience and you can get lost and forget that you're even in the web.
It's all about pushing the boundaries. A great movie can change your life. Imagine a great website that allows you to come in and interact with it in such a way that you leave a different person.
We have so much more to offer. We've really just begun to deliver beautiful gems to the world.
It's that hunt for the right solution and that just appears, and your whole body tells you it's the right answer because it just kind of sings.
Okay, my name is John Hrvatin. I'm a lead program manager on the Internet Explorer team, and I'm here to talk to you about a beautiful web and Internet Explorer 9. This is my first time at RoNewMedia, so when I prepared and investigated and researched about the conference, I learned that RoNewMedia is first and foremost about what's new and exciting in the digital industry, in the media industry. And for a while now, we've all been talking about HTML5. And HTML5 has been this amazing, beautiful thing that will happen at some point in the future. Even just earlier this year, HTML5 was a promise. It was a promise of a web where you could write the same markup and have it work across browsers, where you could write graphically rich, visually stunning sites. A promise of a web where applications felt more like client applications than the websites we visited for more than a decade. And at Microsoft, we looked at HTML5 and its potential, and we said, for HTML5 to realize its full potential, it needs to move beyond today's browsers. Browsers that have seen hardware advance tremendously, and yet have never taken advantage of it. Browsers that make web applications only feel like a document or a file in another application, not an application itself. And at Microsoft, we took a unique approach. And our approach is to use the power of the entire PC, the power of the whole PC to unleash the potential of HTML5. So I'm going to talk about three things today. The first one is using the whole PC to browse and how i9 does that. The second part is about site-centric browsing. Internet Explorer 9 is designed to be a browser for the sites, to help your sites shine, because that's the reason anyone ever uses the internet. And finally, we're going to take some examples of sites that people have already built today, where they're reimagining the web and the experiences that they deliver to their customers. It all starts with Windows and the web. Microsoft has over 1 billion Windows customers around the world. they spend a majority of the time on their PC, 59% of the time, on the web. We build Internet Explorer because we want their experiences to be second to none. In our view, the browser is simply the stage, and it's the site that are the stars. The internet is about sites, and browsers should be too. But today, the websites are boxed in, and they're boxed in by the web browsers and the limits of those web browsers. And to help unleash these sites, we started by building hardware-accelerated HTML5, again, by using the power of the whole PC. Now, when I say hardware-accelerated, or I say GPU or something, you probably picture something like this. Something that maybe if you're a gamer you have, or some of your friends who are gamers have. And so they're these high-end, expensive computers. So you may be wondering, well, I've got my netbook, or I've got my laptop. Is this new beautiful web for me? And the answer is, of course, yes. It turns out that everyone has a GPU. Every Windows PC shipped in the last 8 years has a GPU. And it turns out they're actually quite good. This is data from the Windows customers on Vista and Windows 7. And it turns out that all of the majority of graphics processors score above a 4 on this Windows Experience Index. It makes a lot of sense because graphics processors have gotten exponentially faster in the last decade. At a much higher rate than CPUs have. And yet all that potential, all that power is sitting there on your PC and not helping you browse the web faster at all. So let me show you a little bit about what this really means for you. I'm going to start with just a video. This is a video of a demo that we released back in March when we first started the Internet Explorer 9 project. So it's showing a demo called Flying Images. And so these are all just images, and they're rotating in 3D space. And what the browser has to do is run a lot of JavaScript, calculate where they should be, and then the computer has to display them every frame. And you can see in IE8, wow, I don't know if you can see. I can't see this close up. But you're really only getting 4 or 5 frames per second. You can see it's not that responsive. It doesn't look great. I was moving my mouse around, and nothing was happening. This is the unhardware accelerated web. Now let's try that same one. Try in Safari. And you can see it's a little bit better. It's moving a little bit more with my mouse, but I'm still, at the moment, really only getting 2 or 3 frames per second. And I'm going to change one thing here, because for Safari should even be doing better than this. OK. All right, so they're getting like 7, 8 frames per second. I was in power save mode here. So let's see what IE9 does with this particular demo. This is it in Internet Explorer 9. So you can see as I move around, pan back and forth, it's incredibly responsive. I'm at 60 frames per second, which is the highest your monitor can do. And of course, if I use the Shift key here, I can spin everything faster. How about we just increase the images, just pump up to 256 images, move them around. Of course, I can zoom right in, slow them down, and move them around. So this is hardware acceleration on the web. This is the type of difference that hardware acceleration provides. And in this case, I'm going to just show you a couple slides before we get back to demos that help demonstrate what I'm talking about. So there are going to be a couple geeky slides in here. I'm sorry, but I'm an engineer, and so I have to have a little bit of geekiness here. This is a timer of CPU time spent when running that animation. You can see this is all the time it takes to run it in IE8. This is on scale of seconds, and right here is about half a second, so 2 frames per second. Let me show you what it looks like in IE9. This is just to help you get an idea of the order of magnitude of difference. When we've shown this to developers and designers, they've said, wow, there are things that I wanted to build in the past, things that I had dreamt up that I wanted to build that I simply couldn't because the browser couldn't handle it. With hardware acceleration, now you can. You'll hear me talk a lot about full hardware acceleration versus partial hardware acceleration. IE9, we take everything that you put on the screen and put it through the GPU. Since we introduced hardware acceleration in the spring, other browsers have started to join the game. But they take different approaches. One other browser will hardware accelerate images and canvas and nothing else. Another browser will hardware accelerate more in little bits and pieces, but again, not the whole thing. And then finally, there's another option. So let me just show you a few more demos here, because that's really the interesting part here. Okay. Here's a demo called speed reading. It uses HTML5 canvas to flip all these images and create this little effect. You can hear the sound effects going in the background. At the bottom, it'll give you your frames per second and your average draw time. So let's run this test. And it's flipping through it really quickly. It has a preset sequence of numbers and letters that it's going to go through. You can see we're keeping a good 60 frames per second. Our average draw time is about 10 milliseconds. And this took a total of 11 seconds to finish. So close that guy. Here's Firefox 4. This is their latest beta that has their approach, their perspective on hardware acceleration included. This is just it getting set up, but you can see that it takes about 4 times as long to draw each frame. The frames per second is less than half of what you're getting in IE9. Try and let it finish here so we can at least let it run. So here it goes. I won't actually make you guys all sit here and watch this. This takes several minutes to finish. This is the difference, full hardware acceleration and partial hardware acceleration. Let me take another example. This one is one we released just under 2 weeks ago, and it's a helicopter game. And I'm going to put it in autoplay mode, so I don't actually have to play. Turn it down a little bit. But what this does, if I can get the volume down just a little bit. OK. This uses scalable vector graphics, and it moves to draw everything on the screen, and then it moves them from right to left. It requires a fast JavaScript engine. It requires a fast DOM, and of course, then the display to display this out so quickly. If you look at the numbers, we're at always over 200 miles per hour, usually over 250 miles per hour. Let's take a look at this one in Chrome. If I can get it started. I promise that's not actually part of the demo. But sometimes that happens. There we go. OK, let's take a look at SVG helicopter. Oh, so this is Chrome. This is effectively a nightly build. They have stable beta and developer channels. This is the build from last week, probably last Tuesday or Wednesday. I've also gone and turned on their hardware acceleration. So they have some extra hardware acceleration besides what's just in there. Make sure it's all downloaded. So this is there. So it's not bad, right? You see every now and then they kicked above 200 miles per hour there. But for the most part, they're particularly slower. It's a little bit jerkier, but for the most part, not too bad.